Yo, 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 yo. What's going on? Terrell, Hall of Fame, D-Line, TBKC, and all that other good stuff. Anyway, this video is more so to talk about a growing trend. This growing trend is pretty much the torn ACLs. Um, I've been doing my fair share of research on it, and pretty much you see it happen more. It's happening a lot in the American bully breeds and bull breeds in general, and you know, with studies and a little bit of research, it's not happening as much to the more athletic dogs who are more explosive, who generally explosive athletes, if we were talking about humans, have a better chance of a better chance of tearing their ACLs. So with that, with that being said, we don't think that it's from the being explosive or putting the torque on there by being an athlete, but it goes to a second. It goes to a primary problem that's leading to a secondary injury. Now, with our breeds, a lot of these breeds, and I won't just say the American Bully, but a lot of these breeds in general, of course, we've talked about it forever, the lack of straight up and down legs, the lack of proper formation of the legs, the lack of proper conformation. And anytime that you lack conformation, you risk injury. The dog's body is supposed to be put together a certain way for a reason. Everything flows. The reason why the legs are straight up and down is even weight displacement. No part of the leg is carrying more weight than the other part of the leg. And this is for very good reason, because it doesn't put an massive amount of stress on one part of the leg and cause that injury. So when we see the leg bow, and let's say it bows outwards, the one thing that you have initially that always sticks out is, with a bowed leg, you do have some extra stress in the shoulder, but it seems like the area that takes the most amount of stress is the ACL. The knee ligaments, they take a lot of stress, and this doesn't matter if it's in the front or if it's in the back. And with that extra amount of stress constantly, that ligament is constantly taking it, and just like anything else, it's eventually going to snap. The big key is, and a question was asked to me not long ago, if a dog has a torn ACL, should I breed it? Well, what you should do is go through the process of evaluating the structure and what was the cause of this ACL injury. If that dog is very, very well structured, if this dog is moving well, straight up and down in the legs, fitting the chart like it's supposed to, I don't think that there's a large fear, unless it's a family history of ACL injuries or leg injuries to this dog. Then maybe it's something genetic where this dog just has weak ligaments in the family. Now, if the dog has a bowed leg, or and you can obviously see this, then it's something to take into mind, that this is very easily can be passed on to the puppies. The leg structure is going to be passed on to the puppies, which therefore means the secondary injury, that's going to be passed on to the puppies also. Yes, I do consider the bowed leg itself an injury from the get-go, because of all the stress. It's stress on the ankles, it's extra stress on the feet, it's extra stress on the elbow, the shoulder, the whole thing. So we have to get to a point to where we're understanding that the reason why we stress structure so much is because it's all health related. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the amount of money that it takes to correct, an ACL, but you could easily be spending $2,500 to $3,500 for one ACL injury, and then on top of it, there is no true guarantee that this dog doesn't re-tear that same ACL, because if that leg is bowed, the problem has never been the ACL in the first place. It's the leg. So it's going to continue to put that stress on that ACL. It's going to continue to, you're going to have to continue to keep the dog low activity, so that you're not risking this thing. And really, is that any way to live? Because at the end of the day, if you have to keep the dog low activity, well, low activity means the dog can't get proper exercise. If the dog can't get proper exercise, now you're risking its cardio system and other issues that would generally not be an issue. So this is why we sort of hound people on every aspect of having a healthy dog, because I know it seems very, very simplistic, but one injury leads to another injury, leads to another condition, leads to death. And I know that sounds like super, 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 super dramatic, but at the same time, this is very, very real. It's not something where I'm trying to scare people or anything like that. I'm giving some of y'all information because if and some of your dogs have had the injury and you don't know it, because these dogs, especially these bullies, and bull breeds in general, they come from very, very tough dogs. These dogs have an incredible, incredible tolerance for pain. They were built that way. If you remember, the original purpose of the dog, these dogs were warriors. They descended from a bulldog that was, would get gouged by a bull and have his intestines hanging out and still hanging and shaking and still fighting. So that tells you about, their pain tolerance of what they can take. So you might have seen your dog having a limp, and you're like, why is my dog limping? And he'll limp and he'll limp and he'll limp. And over time, if it's a slight tear or whatever, it might heal itself. He's keeping the pressure off of there, so it heals itself enough to the point that he can walk without that limp. But he has had a torn ACL. This is why we should stay on top of these things. Now, not to say every time your dog has a limp, it's a massive injury. Sometimes it's something minor, but there are a lot more ACL tears than most people know, and most times they just don't know what it is. Because it's a leg injury. So sometimes people think it's the paw. Sometimes people think it's the hip. Sometimes he just banged his knee, and with rest it'll be okay. And because they do have four legs, unlike us with the two, they can balance themselves in a way to take total pressure off of that leg like that until it's time, that it starts feeling better, and they heal up, and you never know that they had the injury. To those of us who've had them, that's basically a catastrophic tear where it tears straight through. It's a trip to the vet and a good surgery coming up for you. So, it's something to definitely keep in mind as far as these leg injuries, as far as your breeding program goes. You want to know exactly, what you're getting yourself into, because you don't want to keep passing this on. Every breeding is meant for the next breeding, is meant for the next breeding. And it's, it just sort of balloons out, and making a decision to take a gamble just because you like the dog, or just because you spent a lot of money on a dog, or just because whatever that you want to breed it, you're going to take that dog with the one problem and turn it into 8 problems, and those 8 problems will make more 8 problems, and that gene just stays in there and continues, and you do a lot more damage than good by just, fixing the dog and understanding that this is not a breeding quality dog. But that's all I have on the ACL injuries, and that can apply to many other injuries. Structure leads to a ton of these injuries. Some of them are, some animals are genetically prone to have these injuries, but for the most part, it's my strong belief, and a lot of doctors' strong belief, that structure is a big part of why a lot of these dogs are running around here limping. Until next time, man, I'll see y'all later. God bless. Peace.